do what I do. Interpretations of legality or morality, it threatens the integrity of individual rights in matters of personal and sexual autonomy. Here's what I want you to understand. Back in the day, in Rome, the freak off was the norm. You understand? Morals have changed. Things have changed. What's considered weird, crazy behavior in San Francisco, or I'm sorry, in Texas, might be the norm in San Francisco. What I'm trying to say is that the prosecution in Sean Combs, in this case, they're prosecuting him for the actions involving consenting adults, and that should raise serious questions about the limits of governmental power and the protection of individual rights. If the Southern District of New York Attorney General's office continues down this path, it could have far-reaching consequences for fundamental freedoms, including expression, association, and personal autonomy. And this scenario highlights the delicate balance between enforcing laws intended to protect individuals and preserving rights of consenting adults to govern their personal lives without undue interference. Now, here's the thing. There's a financial aspect in there. Do you all think that these people would be coming to P. Diddy's freak off if he wasn't wealthy? See, the argument that I'm posing is suggest that when wealthy people use their financial resources to engage with less affluent people for consensual sexual activities, it raises complex legal and ethical questions. See, even if everybody is consenting, the mere presence of money and influence on one person's part introduces a dynamic that can be scrutinized under the laws like sex trafficking and exploitation. I want you to hear me. So I'm positing that consensual sexual interactions between financially wealthy people and less affluent people, in other words, when rich people have sex with poor people, that could be seen as criminal, even when everybody is in agreement, even when it's consensual sex. And that perspective alone should raise concerns about the implications of wealth and power in consensual relationships. I want y'all to understand me. Let me elaborate. There's a power dynamic associated with this. See, wealth can create an inherent power imbalance in relationships. And critics like myself will argue that consent may not be fully voluntary, right? That's what they're saying. Even if everybody was in agreement that we're going to go to P. Diddy's freak-offs because he's so wealthy and they are so poor, consent may not be fully voluntary if one party feels pressured by financial circumstances. Your life, you broke, right? You out here broke, you trying to pay rent, and P. Diddy offers you $100,000 to come to his freak off. Or let's say you a young struggling rapper. We'll call him Freak Frills. Somebody type Freak Frills out of somewhere out of Pennsylvania. Freak Frills, because he's financially compromised, he doesn't have a lot of money. He decides to participate in a freak fest, a one-on-one freak fest with P. Diddy. Okay? And because P. Diddy's rich and has a company and influential, this new rapper Freak Frills, who nobody knows about out of Pennsylvania, he's coerced because he wants P. Diddy to give him some money. And that perception complicates the notion of true consent, as the less affluent person, the poor person, might feel they have limited options. Well, you have the option of not turning your booty up, Freak Frills. You can always have some dignity and walk away. But you're saying that your dignity is compromised by the fact that you need this money. So look at the value that we put on money. The current laws around trafficking and exploitation often consider factors like coercion and manipulation, but the line can become blurry when consent is evolved. Okay, and this leads to a potential overreach in prosecuting consensual acts that are deemed exploitative due to the disparity of wealth. The mere fact that you have more money than this broke person, right? And they give you the goods. That in itself means that vitiates consent. There's no way you can have consent from a poor person. Now, if the legal system begins to criminalize these dynamics, it could deter consensual relationships between people from different economic backgrounds. In other words, if you got some money, you got two nickels to rub together, you better leave them broke people alone. Because you having a sexual relationship with them is deemed as by default non-consensual. Think about that. Even if they consent, they're not really consenting. Even if she say, cool, no problem, she's not. Think about that. And what is that going to do? That's going to create it's going to do the same thing that Me Too did. It's going to create an environment of fear where consensual interactions are scrutinized and potentially stifling personal freedoms. Lawsuits are going to happen. And what we're looking at is the intersection of consent, wealth, and morality, and it poses significant ethical questions. Society is going to have to grapple with whether it's fair to label consensual acts as crimes based on economic disparities and what that means for personal freedoms and societal norms. And this situation could set a precedent. This one with P. Diddy, it sets a precedent where financial influence is criminalized in personal relationship. And that's going to have a chilling effect on sexual freedoms and the ability of people to engage in consensual relationships across economic lives. See, the legal treatment of consensual relationships involving wealth and power dynamic raises fundamental questions about autonomy, consent, and the role of socioeconomic factors in personal interactions. It invites a critical examination of how laws are applied and whether they appropriately reflect the complexities of the human relationship. Now, I know this is going over some people's heads, okay? But this argument raises significant concerns about societal perceptions of poverty and autonomy and consent. It suggests that the allure of money, somebody type money in the chat room, the allure of money can create a dynamic where people, poor people, and we'll just say poor women or poor men from lower socioeconomic backgrounds will be viewed as lacking agency to make informed decisions. In other words, poor people can't think for themselves. That's basically what this is saying. That's basically what the Southern District of New York is saying. These poor women who were compensated, these poor men who were paid to participate in P. Diddy's freak off, they couldn't think for themselves. They were coerced by his money. They lack agency and they can't make informed choices, particularly in sexual relationships. Now, here's a deeper exploration of this perspective. Viewing poor people as unable to resist the allure of wealth implies a lack of agency and power. In other words, you so poor, you can't say no. So anything I want to do to you, anything you volunteer to do, if somebody else in society says, that was immoral, there's no way they would have consented to that based on how I feel. So it must be a crime in there. It was coercion. And this perspective can perpetuate stereotypes that poor people are inherently vulnerable. And that undermines their capacity to make autonomous decisions. Okay? And it reduces complex human experience to simplistic narratives of manipulation and exploitation. What it's really saying is that everybody can be bought. Shout out to my man Demetrius Owens. This is what they're doing to P. This is the experiment that they're doing with P. Diddy right now. Here's another thing. I see what's perpetuated here, the victim narrative. And this framing can lead to a systematic view of poor people as perpetual victims. It suggests that they can't make rational choices. And it reinforces the narrative that strips them of their dignity and the ability to exercise personal agency. And this viewpoint can be patronizing and positioning wealthy people, rich people as predators and poor people as poor victims without recognizing their autonomy. In other words, what they're saying is, if you poor, you can't think for yourself.
What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D.
People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You would tune in to Uncle D. This black man talk, pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shooting, give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Floby and cut your own damn hair from now on.